Welcome back. Last Sunday on The Real Story, Governor Lamont said he was anticipating the state legislature might reconvene in a special session this past week to vote on trucks-only tolls, but that didn't happen.
It didn't happen is right. Democrats claim they're very close, though, to nailing down the details. But really, it's anybody's guess now when or even if whether they'll have a vote on that anytime soon, perhaps before the regular session starts on the 5th of next month. Republicans, meanwhile, are expressing considerable frustration. A lot of people are.
Joining us right now, State Senator Henri Martin of Bristol, who's one of the top Republicans on the Transportation Committee. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
So I've gotten a little bit of an update from Democrats right now. They said that the bill is still being hammered out with a goal of a bill this coming week. And there'll be a public hearing soon after that. A vote by the legislature wouldn't be until the week of January 27th at the earliest. And apparently they're still trying to figure out if it's going to be a House or a Senate bill. That's the latest. So what are you hearing?
So the whispers that I've been hearing in the building is that it's a toss-up, so to speak. Will there be a bill? Not a bill. We've been requesting a bill for weeks now. And it's interesting to hear that they are planning on a public hearing, because I think that's the right thing to do, so the public can be informed as to what the bill includes. And that's the big question right now is, what is in the bill? It's changed so many times.
It appears to be a trucks-only tolling situation. And now Rhode Island went ahead and tolled trucks, and was it found unconstitutional?
Currently, it is in the court system, and it's going to be in a federal court system. From what's being proposed right now, most likely, if it does get we do get tolls approved, it is going to end up in court. The Trucking Association is going to do the same thing they did in Rhode Island. But in addition to that, it looks like New York will get involved with a lawsuit as well regarding the toll on 684.
Governor Lamont said last weekend that he was very confident that Rhode Island would win in court, and that he's very confident that Connecticut would win in court, and that the bill, and he hadn't seen the final version of the bill, but that it was in line with what Rhode Island was doing. How confident are you that Rhode Island and Connecticut could beat that in court?
Well, I think the Trucking Association would beg to differ that this is going to be ruled in their favor. So the risk that we run, if we do install tolls and we start collecting tolls and we should lose, then what happens then? What happens to the monies that we've received? We're going to have to pay that back most likely. And what happens with tolls? Or do those tolls now turn into from trucks only to cars and trucks at that point?
Yeah, the governor said that that couldn't be extended. The legislation would prohibit that.
Well, listen, legislators, we are charged with creating policy and statutes. And there's nothing that would stop us from changing a policy in this case, or statutes as well. So we could write it 1 year, and then the following year we could change it.
A lot of the Democrats say that the Republican plan is a terrible idea and just puts a lot of cost on future generations with the borrowing. You're still sold on it, right?
Well, I am completely sold on it. So let me say this. We actually reduced our debt. We actually reduced the unfunded liability in our plan. And that is the biggest fiscal problem that we face here in the state of Connecticut, is the unfunded.
Again and again.
Year after year, it's a structural problem. We need to fix that, but we come up with Band-Aid approaches to this. Our plan takes money from the budget reserve fund, pays down on unfunded liability, uses the cash the interest savings that we've saved, which is to a tune of about $300 million a year, and we apply that towards our infrastructure here in the state of Connecticut. So and regarding bonding, additional bonding, comparing, if you put the two plans side by side, you would see that our plan is we don't use any special tax obligation bonds from year 3 going forward. Year 1 and 2 are identical, but 3 till year 10, we have no special tax obligation bonds that we tap into, whereas the governor's plan shows $100 billion to start, and then it increases to $150 million, to $200 million, and up to $350 million by the year end. So the bottom line is, we're more on a debt diet than he is.
Leader Fasano has been complaining that you're not getting information on the Republican side, and that's a chronic complaint. That the response from the administration apparently has been, well, you didn't come up with any plan, so why do we have to give you details when you want them about what our plan is, even if we don't know exactly what they are yet? We
have come up with our plan faster, and that is the transportation plan. And we've laid it out a month ago to 6 weeks ago. We've laid it out. It just hasn't been looked at, I guess, or it has been looked at. You mean the plan to borrow all the money and not have tolls, borrow all the monies for the transportation needs? Well, if you're talking about the previous plan of prioritizing progress versus this plan, they're two totally different plans altogether. So, but regarding the faster plan, we've put that has been on the table, and even the prioritizing progress that has been on the table for 3 years. But right now, it's the faster plan, and that is the plan that if we can put people to work immediately, we would have no litigation problems whatsoever. We would be addressing the unfunded liability, not to the extent that it needs to be addressed at, but at least we're heading into the right direction of chipping away at what the real problem is.
Senator, if you drive around our other states, I was in Maine recently, and it was toll after toll. Massachusetts, tolls. Rhode Island tolls, New York tolls. These are all of our neighbors. Is Connecticut missing out?
I would say no. If you compare one state to another state to Connecticut, and you laid out all the taxes that we pay versus what they pay, and we'll use a vehicle. When you go buy a vehicle, you're paying a sales tax. When you go to the pump, you're paying 25 cents to the state of Connecticut and 17 cents to the federal government. When you go to turn in your car, right? The new vehicle trade-in, trade-in was $30. It was $30. It's been increased to $100. Let's add in the property tax that we pay statewide, well, and the towns that we live in. Bristol, some people pay out over $1,000 a year. You go to Hartford for the same vehicle, they may be paying $1,500 for the same. All right, what's your prediction on this? Are we going to see a bill within the next week or two, or is it still going to just drag on? I think it's a toss-up, but I was quoted the other day. I said 60-40 that we would have no special session.
Well, the regular session, we were just looking up the date, February 5th. And so if they're saying that the bill, that they wouldn't be ready till January 27th-ish, it's why wouldn't you just wait right till the regular session?
We'd save ourselves a little money.
The problem is going into the regular session, that's a short session. You got other things to think about. And everybody's been loath to have tolls be in that area. So do you think we might end up with no tolls?
If we go to the special session, I think so. The push is to get this done before the session, and for two reasons most likely. One is they want to distance the special session or the toll vote to the next year's election, and the second is the battle that would take place in the session itself.
Because the Transportation Committee would likely have to go through the Transportation Committee and all the other procedural hurdles that you would have to do.
And all that,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Henri Martin. Nice to have you on the program.
You're always welcome on.
And up next, right after a quick break, there is a national movement to do away with closed presidential primaries in which you can't vote unless you're registered as a member of that particular party. Former candidate for governor Oz Griebel is here today, leading the charge here in Connecticut. What's behind his push? He'll tell us in a moment.